moments in the life of a church or a life of a nation that you don't have people speak hard truths or prophetic truths, right? There's obviously a whole history of the importance of the prophet, or you can look through figures like Martin Luther King Jr., who both championed love, but also spoke some very hard truths for Christians who were supporting segregation. So, I think that's what has to happen. And just one other thing I'll say about this is, pastors also have to determine at what point do they feel like they need to speak out, not necessarily from the pulpit, but maybe in their own name, at a key moral moment in the life of a church or life of a country. For example, I've asked a lot of pastors, and I'm not necessarily recommending that they speak out now, in terms of politics, because I know it can divide a church. And I know that if it's perceived that you're saying something negative or positive for Donald Trump on one Sunday, then the next Sunday when you talk about or give a sermon on Philippians 2, the congregation may tune you out. Having said that, I've asked pastors who don't want to speak out at this moment, are you glad that there were Christian pastors and ministers who spoke out during the segregation and slavery? And almost to a person, they say yes. It would be a shame to look back and say, at this moment when Blacks were being dehumanized, enslaved, segregated, looked down upon because of the color of their skin, we had nothing to say. We were too afraid about dividing our congregation that we decided we were going to not name it. And then on the further extreme, is Dietrich Bonhoeffer, right? The German Confessional Church. The vast majority of German Christians in Nazi Germany sided with the Nazi regime. Bonhoeffer, as you know, said no, and there were a small group that spoke out. He ended up losing his life. I'm not saying that we're at a Bonhoeffer moment and that the country is near the Nazi regime. I'm just saying that there's a spectrum here. And my impulse throughout my entire life is pastors should stay out of politics. First thing that I ever had published in my life was trying to warn Christians from conflating politics and a political agenda with Christianity. So that's very much my disposition. But I do think that we as followers of Christ, because we feel like we have something to say morally and in the public square at key moments, need to be alert and ask ourselves, what's required of us as followers of Jesus, as truth tellers, as people who stand for a certain kind of moral order. Individual pastors will obviously have to answer that depending on their facts and circumstances and what their conscience tells them.